Carlson, Vieira, Maniscalco,
Here.
Hurtek,
Here.
Goulds,
Here.
Miranda, Citro.
Here.
We have a physical quorum.
Thank you. Mr. B-Day, are you with us? There he is. We had him. Vic? All right. Mr. B-Day.
Good afternoon, Chair. Good afternoon, Council. Vic Bide, Director of the Mobility Department, here to address item 3, motion made by Councilmen Carlson and Miranda to discuss the status of the city managing county roads within city limits. Quick background on this, the county does own and maintain several critical roadways within the city of Tampa. And I am joined here by Public Works Administrator for Hillsborough County, John Lyons, as well. These roads are all the way from North Tampa, Bruce B. Downs, Cross Creek, prominent roads like Bayshore, Channelside, to Columbus Drive, 40th Street, Bay to Bay, and many others. They're mainly arterials, including Howard and Armenia as well. In general, the county and the city have met and discussed this issue several times. We're in agreement that the city should, in principle, take the roads over from the county through some sort of legal transfer. We're also in agreement on the standards before the city can accept these roadways. And those standards, of course, are shared between the county and city. They're mainly state standards and additional transportation standards relative to access and condition of the assets. The major challenge at this stage or this juncture is resources, both with the county and the city. In terms of upgrading these facilities before the city can accept ownership of them via transfer. There are also other pending issues that we do need to discuss around the mechanism of transferring these roadways to the city, how to address maintenance and other items. We haven't really had those discussions in detail yet, although we are in agreement in principle. But it really boils down to a resource issue. And I will leave it at that for now. John, would you like to add anything?
Sure. Thank you, Vic. And thank you, council members, for inviting me today. As Vic described, we've had a long-standing relationship on maintenance of county roadways within the city. And the agreement's kind of evolved over time as well. We compensate the city. We pay through this agreement today for operation of traffic signals, as an example, on county roads and city roads. The city operates those, and we provide capital maintenance costs with that as well, resurfacing those type of projects. Conceptually, we're initially looking at those roads that begin and end within the city limits. So Bayshore, Channelside, 40th Street and McKinley are some good examples of those that could do that Bay to Bay as well. And so Vic is absolutely correct. We have resource challenges as the city does as well in doing this. And we recognize that there's some maintenance items and capital items that need to be taken care of as part of this process in transferring. Informally, our board, we've had briefings with board members, and conceptually they agree that this is, a good thing to do. These roads are primarily in the city, and they serve the purpose of a lot of the citizens in the city as well. The source of them, Bayshore, for example, is an old county road. It's been there for well over 100 years in some form. And other roads, such as Gandy and Columbus, were actually, and Bruce B. Downs, were state roads that were transferred to the county, typically back in the early 80s. And so it's kind of a long-standing situation there. But I'll stop talking and be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Any questions from Councilman Miranda?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Lyons, appreciate your comments very well. Being here for some period of time on and off, I was here in the 70s, 74 through 79, and I recall some of the text. I don't recall all the conversation, but I'm also almost positive that then Mayor Poe had a problem with that happening in the city. And I think there was talk about a lawsuit, or maybe he did file a lawsuit. I don't remember that part. And it's not just what you mentioned some names, but the amount of roads, it's 40 or 50 miles. I forget what it was, because I'm talking about 48 years ago. But I'm not going to support it based on what I remember from the 74 through 79 era. And there's nothing wrong the way it is. You support we pay taxes just like you pay taxes if you live in the city or in the county. And if you look at the tax base, the county gets equal to, if not greater than, the proportion of taxes that we collect just on ad valorem. I'm not saying that should be changed in any way. I'm just saying that it's based on that. Then these monies come from gas tax, am I correct?
Most of our maintenance dollars do come from gas taxes, yes.
Right, sir. So I'm not going to be supportive of this. I think that the system works the way it is, and to change this, I think, would be a mistake on our part. We have tried to catch up, and we haven't. I get complaints every day from sidewalks of the Miami gutters that are, open, but they have movement of water. Have one that's been waiting now 7 years to get fixed. And I'm not here to downgrade my city or downgrade the county, but I'm not going to support it. It's up to the other members of council that want to do that. But I think the system works the way it is, and I should not change it.
Mr. Chair.
Councilman Carlson.
Yeah, thank you all for coming back on this. The genesis of this topic was that a few months ago there was an accident on Beta Bay where two people passed away, and the neighborhoods around that area said that for consistency purposes, they wish that the city was managing all the roads in that area, and it sounds like some other neighborhoods wish the city was too. It's not, I think, that the county or city would do a better job. From their point of view, I think and maybe there's some folks to speak from the public, but it was about consistency. And so thank you all for bringing this up. Vic, do you know any other arguments for why this would be a good idea? And I'm not, when I brought this up, I wasn't for or against it. It's just a request from the neighborhood. So I wanted to make sure we talked about it.
Sure, and thank you, Councilman Carlson. That's a good question. Yes, there's one other item, and that is, although our standards are very similar, our approaches to design and implementation may vary slightly on a case-by-case basis. And so from that perspective, and I'm speaking to our Vision Zero Action Plan, I'm speaking to the city's priorities as we're developing the high injury network and so on. Our priorities in terms of investments might differ from the counties, given that they have to look at a very different geography on top of the roadways within the city. So that would be one. The other is routinely from a customer experience standpoint, it does get a little bit confusing for the community on whom to report issues to. And from that perspective, being within the city, it would be a lot more efficient for the city than to be the single point of contact on a lot of these concerns and track some of these issues as well.
So an example in that case was that I think some people in the neighborhood had wanted a traffic light there, and they don't, people in your residents don't know who to go to, whether it's federal, state, or local, county. Can you just tell us how the process works today if it's a county road, and then how it would work if it was a city road, if somebody asked for a pedestrian crossing or sidewalks or a traffic light, et cetera?
Sure. So as the agreement is structured right now, the interlocal for maintenance of county roads within the city at the end of March of every year is required to submit a list of capital projects or capital improvements on county roads as a request to the county. We do submit this letter, and we have been for the last 4 years since this language was amended into this agreement. And then it's up to the county to look at their resources and prioritize. And that's what I meant, that, that prioritization then goes out of the city's control and into the counties, and the county has its process to do so. And that might create an asymmetry in outcomes between customer expectations and what we are able to commit to the community in terms of what we can do.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions?
I can only say this, the county has elected officials that live in the city of Tampa, and I see it in today's society where you got a push button thing, you can get it and send it in 1 second where it goes to the county. If it's a county road, city road, or a county road, the city comes to us and it goes to them. And we're years behind doing what we have to do in the city in paving. And I'm not against my city, I'm telling the bare facts about it. And I have emails to prove it, that we get conversation by phone, people that want things that we haven't been able to do. So I don't see one bit iota difference in having it by the city or by the county in today's society. We don't have the hummingbird pigeon to send a message to the county anymore. That went away back in the 20s. However, we do have the computers that if you get something, you can send it over to that responsible person in the county, not only to the transportation, but to the elected officials that live in the city. And I would imagine you would get the same result, basically the same time, to do the repairing work for that area. I don't see a benefit in that. And the people that are elected there to serve the county that live in the city do the same equal job than we do. They get paid by the taxpayers, so they would be remiss if they were not to answer the questions asked to them about fixing the road work.
Councilwoman Hurtak.
I have a question about funding. So if these roadways were transferred to the city, would we get increased revenue from these taxing sources to handle the 40 to 50 mile more of roads?
So that's also a good question. Couple of things there. One is the state of the roadways themselves. So what we have agreed on with the county is what are the standards that the road needs to be up to for the city to accept. So when we accept it, it would be a 20-year, 25-year life condition that we would accept it in the latest standards. The maintenance aspect of it is something that does require discussion among other issues as well.
So what you're saying is that the county would transfer the road over when it's in, they would upgrade the road to whatever the standard would need to be for us to accept it.
Correct. Either that or transfer funds commensurate with the upgrade of the facility to that standard.
That because I'm looking at it also through a neighborhood lens, and I do know that yes, people don't know the difference, and B, what a lot of neighbors are asking for are improvements to those roadways for bikeability, walkability, crosswalks, and I know that has been a huge thorn in the side of many neighborhood associations to try to get those types of development, and not knowing who the road belongs to or if the road crosses, if a city and a county road have an intersection, and trying to get work done at that intersection, I know is difficult. So I see the point to this, and thank you.
So if I might add something, so there's about 60 centerline miles of roadway, county roadway within the city. We're not talking about a complete transfer of all county roads. As an example, Columbus Drive begins outside the city and passes into the city. The same thing with portions of Waters and Sly. And so what we would initially discuss is a limited number of roads. As an example, Channel Side, there's been some of the county investment into infrastructure as part of the Water Street development. Channel Side will be like a brand spanking new road here in a few more months. And the question about the ongoing maintenance costs, yes, those would have to be discussed and negotiated as part of the transfer. I don't think that we would unreasonably burden the city with additional maintenance costs on another asset without having that conversation.
Any other comments or questions from council members? Is there anyone in the public that would like to make any comments?
Good afternoon, Council. Steve Michelini. I was with the city in '78 when this issue first came up. And at that point, Mayor Bill Poe sued the county because they were collecting ad valorem taxes from city residents, and they could not account for the amount of money that was being transferred in services back to the city. So if they want to talk about maintenance coming off a gas tax, that doesn't even begin to address the ad valorem tax disparity between services and the amount of money being collected. What happened was, in that lawsuit, the city and the county reached an agreement where there was going to be equitable distribution of funds for streets and roads that came close to matching the services that were to be provided by the county from taxes being paid by city citizens. That eventually evolved into the interlocal agreement, which you're referring to now. And I would strongly urge you not to transfer any of these without the equitable tax distribution coming back from the county, not from gas tax, but from their general fund from ad valorem taxes, because that will continue to happen every year. If you look at your tax bill, you'll see that there's a whole line item for county taxes and an entire line item for city taxes. And to transfer that responsibility to us simply based on gas tax is not fair and it's not equitable. I think we've lost sight when we start talking about city roads that are all only in the city. It wasn't about the roads. It was about repaying the city for the services that were never rendered by the county for a variety of different services. We have our own police, we have our own fire, and the county ad valorem taxes goes to the sheriff's office, it goes to, fire rescue, it goes to a variety of other places, including parks and all kinds of other things that are all maintained within the city limits that are city properties and city parks. So, we're talking about, well, I'm going to transfer this road and that road and all that. It was about the cash. It wasn't about the roadway itself. The cash was equated to roads because it was the easiest denominator to identify and to figure out how you were going to assign the money. And those negotiations went on for over 2 years. The lawsuit started in '78, and it wasn't resolved until Bob Martinez's administration sometime in '81 or '82. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you might have, but it all was based on tax monies collected from city residents that were not being provided as services back to the city residents.
Any questions for Mr. Michelini? Thank you very much. Is there any other comments for public comment? Do we have anyone online?
Is there any action to be taken or?
Mr. Chair, could I just say one last thing?
Surely.
Yeah, as I said, this issue came up not as a budget issue, but as a public safety issue. And neighbors in that area especially were concerned about their multi-year complaints to get traffic safety equipment there, and they felt that the city might have been able to push that forward quicker. So thank you for allowing us to put this on the agenda for their sake. And to Mr. Miranda's point, or Councilmember Miranda's point, when the accident happened, the neighborhood reached out to me. My first call was to Vic, I think, and my second call was to Harry Cohen, and he and I worked closely behind the scenes with the two folks here on the camera. So I want to thank them for responding quickly to that particular public safety issue. But that led Harry then to talk to Bonnie Wise, and it seems like there's been a change in a strategy philosophy in the last couple of years at the county, and they're ready to work with us in any way we want. And of course, the political doors and as you can see, staff doors are always open. But if at some point we want to move roads, I agree that we need to negotiate in a way that it's not going to be a huge financial burden on the city either. But at the same time, we need to make sure we get all the public safety equipment that we need and the consistency throughout the city so that residents have the safe environment they need. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Carlson. Anyone else? I am taking it that we will not take any action on this. Okay, it's time for information reports. Councilman Vieira. Yeah. Man, mark this day, red calendar day. Councilman Maniscalco.
No, sir.
Woo. Councilwoman Hurtak.
Nope.
Councilman Goode.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the Honorable Betty Reed passed away last week. The services will be Wednesday, this upcoming Wednesday at 10 a.m. at Beulah Baptist Church in Temple Terrace. I'd like to make a motion, Mr. Council, to have a resolution posthumously for Miss Betty Reed.
Motion made by Councilman Goode, seconded by Councilman Maniscalco. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
And that will be handed to them at the services, sir.
Councilman Miranda.
None, sir.
Motion to receive and file?
So move, sir.
Oh, wait, one
Oh,
more.
I'm
Can I
sorry.
put in one?
I didn't see you there, Councilman Carlson. You got one?
Sorry, thank you. Thank you for allowing me to zoom in. One last one, Ruben Butch Delgado announced his retirement, and if we haven't already, I'd like to make a motion to have a accommodation for him. And I don't have the calendar in front of me, Andy, but maybe someone could help us find a date that we can do it.
When is the next one? It's Tuesday. I'm sorry? July 18th? Yeah.
July 18th, so I'd like to make a motion to.
I have a motion made by Councilman Carlson, seconded by Councilman Maniscalco. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
That's it, thank you.
Mr. Shelby.
Yes, Council, I have several resos that were from action that Council took on May 19th, ratifying and confirming appointments. Roberto Anthony Torres, a member of the Barrio Latino Commission. Thomas Placon to the Historic Preservation Commission. John Prokop for the Architectural Review Commission. Samantha Decker to the Variance Review Board, and Sheralina Powers as the alternate on the Variance Review Board.
A motion made by Councilman Maniscalco, seconded by Councilman Miranda. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Thank you,
Motion to, by Councilman Maniscalco, seconded by Councilman Miranda. All in favor? Aye. Thank you very much. We are adjourned until 5:01.
Blame myself alone. If I can't find